Ricardo Yebo, I'm ready, boss. Beautiful sights and sounds there, as you can see those overlays. I love it. The Parliament Garden, August House, looking so beautiful from high up there. My name is Ricardo Clarkos. A very good afternoon to you, and welcome to this special broadcast as we are coming to you live from the Tinted Palace itself, the courtyard of the Parliament of the Republic of Namibia, for the official opening of its business for the year. We're expecting the head of state, of course, to grace us with a high-level statement, and of course, one of the few events where all three organs of the state, the judiciary, the executive, as well as the legislature, composing of both houses, which is the upper and lower house, the National Council and Parliament, and the National Assembly, that will be sitting together here as well. One of those rare occasions. So this year around, the theme for the opening of Parliament is enhancing Namibia's parliamentary democratic post COVID-19. We know, of course, COVID-19 came with its own challenges and questions for democracy itself. How do we gather? When does it constitute when Parliament is getting together? We saw a lot of parliaments, of course, going virtual as well, that bringing its own challenges legally as well and otherwise. We will be reflecting on that and much more as we open up and get ready for the next session of Parliament at 2:30 exactly. That's when we're expecting the President, of course, to walk into the chambers to grace the three organs of state with his presence. I'm not alone. I will be joined just to give some commentary by Mr. Ephraim Jane, the Deputy Secretary of the National Council. Mr. Jane, a very good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for making time out to join us.
Thank you, Ricardo, for granting me the opportunity.
It's a pleasure to have you here as well. Of course, quite an important day on the calendar for both houses of Parliament today. If you can just briefly just reflect on the importance of having this ceremony take place today.
Ricardo, as you indicate, Parliament is one of the three organs of state, and as one of the three organs of state, its uniqueness is in the fact that it is made out of public representatives, and as such, when they start, like any calendar year, like a legislative year, then they come together to set the agenda for the rest of the year. And of course, the symbolism also of the official opening of Parliament is that we have the rare opportunity of having the heads of all three organs of state under one roof, to listen to a very brief address from our head of state, His Excellency the President.
We know that, of course, this one is a little bit different from the State of the Nation address. A bit earlier on, when I posted on the social media platforms that we'll be broadcasting live from here, someone saying, but why is the president addressing the parliament? Isn't it going to come for the State of the Nation address? Can you just reflect on the difference of those two engagements? Because I understand they have two different objectives.
Sure. The official opening of Parliament, we should view it that the head of state is opening Parliament in his capacity as head of state. So we have three organs of state which constitute the state. At the apex of the state, we have the president. So in this case, he's just opening. It's a ceremonial occasion, and therefore he just will have a brief address. There will be no questions and answer sessions.
That's one of the big differences, that
yes,
there is
exactly.
no engagement per se back and forth with the members of the House.
At all. It's very ceremonial. So the Speaker will make welcoming remarks, call upon His Excellency to deliver his statement, and then immediately thereafter we will have the Honorable Chairperson of the National Council, Honorable Muha, do a vote of thanks, and then the House will adjourn. That is now the official opening of Parliament. Whereas the State of the Nation address is a constitutional requirement that during the budget, the President should address Parliament and be available to answer questions from the members of Parliament who are the representative of the people. It is an accountability exercise. The State of the Nation is by and large an accountability exercise. The President reports on what the Cabinet have done, and then what they intend to do. And he engages through question and answer with the members of Parliament who are the representative of the people. I think those are the main differences.
Those are the main differences that we're looking at. In terms of the focus for this year, you're saying enhancing parliamentary democracy post-COVID-19. Let's take a step back and just reflect briefly in terms of, at the advent of COVID, of course, because of the nature of the office that you have here, because of your business, it's highly regulated. There are certain rules that you need to follow, the operations inside the House itself, but of course also how the meetings are called, how they gather, a lot of procedure that you have to observe. How did COVID impact the operations of Parliament at its advent?
It is important to note that, yes, COVID, of course, have both negative and positive. So we should not look at only from a negative.
Window, but from both sides.
From both sides.
Balanced view, yeah.
For example, I think it has speeded up the implementation and the assimilation of technological utilization by members of Parliament, by and large, or both houses.
How has it done that? Let's reflect on that a little bit, if you can go a little bit in detail.
You see, we have to move from physical face-to-face meetings of Parliament. So we have to go virtual. In other words, we have to use technology, social media such as Zoom, to be able to continue to transact the business of Parliament. So that has been some of the innovation. We're forced to move in that direction. But alongside that, as you hinted, the rules of both houses of Parliament needed to be amended so that decision or deliberations virtually taking place would have the same effect and meaning as when members are within the chamber, under one roof.
So those policy changes, I mean, how quickly did you have to make those policy changes? What are some of the processes involved when you have to make changes like that?
No, of course, we have, each house have the Standing Rules and Orders Committee, and these committees are not big bodies. It's a small committee. So it's easy for them to sit, deliberate, and agree. So
it was at House rules level that you made the amendments.
Exactly.
For digitalization, basically.
For digitalization, for having virtual meetings. So it was the rules, which are actually the rules governing the operations of the houses, the interaction and the procedures in terms of arriving at decisions have to be amended so that they are fit for purpose. You see that. So changes do not wait for us. We must adapt to changes rather. And I think through the rules of the respective parliaments, standing rules and orders, amending, members from both houses have been quite receptive to these changes.
Does that also form now, if we look at recently over I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was the story around the parliamentarians purchasing new technological equipment. Does that form also part of that process of equipping the parliamentarians so that they're able to dispense their duties according to the digitalization policy you're referring to?
Certainly. You see, those are what we refer to as the tools of the trade. They must be able to still be relevant. Remember, they represent a broad spectrum of populace. Some of them we are using technology now, and we cannot afford to let our members be left behind. But indeed, those are but some of the facilities which members of parliament, as of necessity, must have. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. It's not what they want, it's what they need. It is important that we realize that. And it is not any whatever device we provide them. It is with a purpose. They should be able to access parliamentary papers, the rules, and any information relating to their work. They are doing parliamentary standing committees, work, public hearings, and so forth.
Well, of course, some of the commentators were saying, if one looks at it, one of the dangers that came with COVID was, if you look at the nature of the gathering of Parliament for both houses, it is consensual. They have to be present, and there must be debate over the issues that get brought on the table. But some were saying, look, with the advent of COVID, it might force that process to be rushed because we want to get to the decisions. How do we ensure, basically, that there is that quality and that sanctity of the debate is maintained during the digital era, even when we are meeting virtually? Because with physical meetings, of course, there's a certain quality, there are certain checks and balances, there are certain procedures that are in place to make sure that we ensure that sanctity and quality of debate is maintained.
Yes. With the advent of COVID, we have to invent to relook how we transact business. And one way, of course, is to train members so that they can become used to using this technology. But one way also is to disseminate information in advance, communicate to them, let them read the document. And as I said, so the rules will make sure that the procedures followed, the end result should still have the necessary inbuilt checks and balances that decisions are arrived at correctly, and that no one is excluded or marginalized. So, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm yet to hear that the Namibian parliamentary process, decision-making, both for the National Council and National Assembly, was in any way affected. Yes.
If you just join us, you are watching the live coverage of this the opening of Parliament. Enhancing Namibia's parliamentary democracy post-COVID-19 is the theme for this year. I'm joined by Mr. Ephraim Jain, the Deputy Secretary of the National Council, as we reflect a little bit on the opening as well. We know, of course, the head of state will be the one delivering a high-level keynote address to the parliamentarians. Both houses will be present in the August House, of course, the National Council, as well as the National Assembly. You know that a lot of people have been asking in terms of the difference between this and the State of the Nation address, and a little bit earlier on there were reflections that the head of state just delivers a statement here, but of course at the State of the Nation address, that's where he gets a chance for question and answer. That's a more constitutional obligation concerned more compared to a ceremonial activity that's taking place this afternoon. Stay with us. When we come back, we continue with more. Don't forget to stay with us on NBC Digital News. Please ask your questions on the comment box on our social media platforms, and let's see how we can continue to engage. Stay with us.
Your Excellency, Dr. Hage Botsu, the President of the Republic of Namibia and the Commander-in-Chief of the Namibian Defense. The Presidential Guard of Honor is formed up and ready for inspection. Reporting Major Simon Amporo, Guard of Honor. Your Excellency.
Well, there we have it. That's the conclusion of the inspection of the Guard of Honor by His Excellency the President. And that's when the uniform officers are now walking off there as well. Of course, before that, it was the National and African Union anthems, as well as the 21-gun salute, of course, signifying the importance of that unitary state, the protection of sovereignty, the unitary state that we are, constitutional democracy. Of course, in a few minutes from now, as you see there, the President will be making his way into the chambers. That's to commence with the official opening of Parliament for the year 2023 under the theme Enhancing Namibia's Parliamentary Democracy Post-COVID-19. I have Mr. Ephraim Jane joining me here as well. He's the Deputy Secretary for the National Council. Of course, we've seen the ceremony has started. Some important activities took place right now outside 21-gun salute. Now the President, of course, making his way into the chamber. But for the benefit of the layman on the street, can you briefly just reflect on the administration of Parliament? How is the Secretariat structured?
Okay, Ricardo, each house have its own accounting officer, who's called the Secretary, who's otherwise the equivalent of an executive director. So you have a secretary to the National Council, secretary to the National Assembly, and then, of course, below them you will have the deputy secretaries, and then you will have heads of directorates, meaning directors, deputy directors, and then mid-level management staff. So that's, in short, how
both houses are structured.
Yes, they are
Because
very
us,
much
when you're watching
similarly.
from home, it just seems like only the parliamentarians come in, they do their work and they leave. There's actually a support structure behind the work that they do.
Indeed, there is a machinery, which is the Secretariat, which makes their work possible as they carry out their legislative responsibilities.
If we can just briefly reflect on some of the functions of both houses.
Yes. Of course, the National Assembly primarily is referred to as the principal legislative chamber, and its primary responsibility, of course, is to initiate laws and refers the laws to the National Council. The National Council is the review house. All laws or bills passed by the National Assembly must constitutionally be referred to the National Council. Now, a traditional role of representation, oversight and lawmaking, of course, that's what the Assembly is, but also the National Council. But also the National Council, its unique functions would be like you have regional representation, you have legislative review.
So it's basically that direct representation that we have, because they are directly elected, voted by the electorate, and not like a party list in the case of the National Assembly.
Correctly so, Ricardo, because they are directly elected by the 14 regions. And mind you, the regional councils are constituted by members from the various constituencies in the respective regions. So our members then are elected, of course, by the respective regional councils, and they come here. But so they have two constituencies. They represent the regions, and then, of course, they also are members who are having constituencies. So it's really ensuring direct representation at the national legislature, at parliament level. And then, as I said, of course, they review the bills, and then they have also the responsibility, that is the National Council, to recommend legislation on matters of regional concern. And then, of course, they also exercise oversight over the executive branch.
Are there perhaps one or two bills that you can highlight which are priorities for the National Council as part of their function for this year?
You see, Ricardo, in our case, since bills are not introduced or we don't initiate, we don't have members of the executive branch in the council, we can only say this is what we hear, this is what we expect. Whatever they pass and refer to us, we deal with it.
Also,
we don't have a
do
choice.
anything. We have to wait for them to
Yes.
pass those first before we can have that conversation.
Indeed. But of course, we have an idea in terms of some bills which may be tabled, like the marriage bill, the divorce bill. And of course, we are expecting the appropriation bill, which is the budget,
That's the big one.
to be tabled on the 22nd of February. Yeah.
When it's this time, I know, of course, with the opening of Parliament, immediately after that, we have State of the Nation address that follows. We have the appropriation bill. It becomes quite a hectic time. How does the Secretariat manage with administration during that time? I mean, you have to make sure, of course, these debates that continuously go on for hours on end. Sometimes you see 11, 12 at night as well.
Yes. Normally, we have to manage this activity through a program. So we have a program, a calendar for the discussion, for the debate on the budget. But it is important to note that the budget is being introduced this year earlier than usual. And the idea is that by the 1st of April, then the budget should be ready for implementation. We have learned that in the past it has been a challenge because then ministries could only start around June, July to implement the budget. And in fact, it applies to any other organ which is funded from the national budget.
There were talks, I think, rumblings a couple of years ago of seeing how we can perhaps move up or change the financial year's start and end altogether. Is that still a conversation for consideration?
Actually, the issue is not necessarily the calendar year, because our financial years, is from 1st April to end March. It's still all right. What needs to happen is simply to table the budget earlier, which now there is an attempt to table it in February. Ordinarily, it was tabled in around April, and then the national council.
That delays national programs, implementation programs, as we continue. Talking about budget as well. We did the opening of the legal year about 2 weeks ago at the Office of the Judiciary, and the Chief Justice was, of course, also lamenting the challenge around resources for the administration of justice. And we know, of course, that there were plans to expand Parliament, etc. Some of these were shelved because of finances. But how serious is the resource challenge in as far as support with financial resources is concerned for you to meet your administrative duties as a Secretariat?
No, it is a challenge because you should realize that the nature of oversight, which is actually one of the core functions, because at the core of oversight is to hold the executive to account, is to enforce accountability. And to do that, you need to engage with the various ministries and other governmental agencies like state-owned enterprises. But you also need to go outside the seat of Parliament to inspect on the ground and see exactly what is happening. Because
that is oftentimes a challenge now, because you're needed in the council, but because you're a regional councillor, you're also required to periodically be in the region to see what exactly is happening on the ground.
Yes. So, for example, if you take the situation of our members, every time we bring here, we have to ensure that they are paid, S&T. It's a reality because they are not based in Wintu, they are based in the region. But the challenge of funding, as I indicate, is also linked to oversight, performing oversight. Like if the parliamentary standing committees, whether of the National Council or National Assembly, are out, they need to be resourced.
Well, it seems like the chamber is ready to commence with the proceedings for this afternoon. We're just waiting to to get that final confirmation as well. But if you just join us, a very good afternoon to you and welcome. It's a special broadcast from the Tyndon Palace itself. We're sitting in the courtyard of the Parliament of the Republic of Namibia, where the official opening of the year for the legislature will commence very, very shortly. The head of state, the President of the Republic, will provide a high-level keynote address. Of course, there won't be any opportunities for questions and answers as we do during the State of the Nation address, but this time it's just a high-level address. And of course, after that, the House is handed back to the presiding officers as well. It is, of course, the event that is at a time which Parliament reflects on the challenges and some of the successes of the past, while setting the mood and the tone and basically the agenda for the new year under the leadership of the presiding officers. That is, of course, Professor Peter Kashavivi, the Speaker of the National Assembly, as well as Honorable Lucas Sinimbo Muha, the Chairperson of the National Council, who are the two leaders of the two houses. I'm still joined by Mr. Ephraim Jain, the Deputy Secretary of the National Council, as we continue to reflect on the important work that the Council had to do. Just a brief reflection on this, of course. We know that the Namibia is a bicameral parliament, one of the popular systems globally. How are relations with other parliaments across the continent, across the world? We know, of course, with the IPU, we are members of that as well. Oh, I'm hearing that the House is ready. So when we come back, I think after the break, then we can discuss that as well. But the House is ready. We'll now cross over inside the House and hand it over to the Speaker to lead us in the proceedings for the official opening of Parliament for 2023.
Your Excellency, Dr. Hage Geingob, President of the Republic of Namibia, and the First Lady, Madam Monica Geingob, Your Excellency, Dr. Nangolo Mbumba, Vice President of the Republic of Namibia, the Honorable Lucas Muha, Chairperson of the National Council, Your Worship, Peter Shivute, the Chief Justice of the Republic of Namibia, Right Honorable Prime Minister Sarah Kukongelwa Madila, the Honorable McHenry Venani, Leader of the Official Opposition, Honorable Members of Parliament, respected Service Chiefs, distinguished invited guests, fellow citizens, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all back, honorable members of this joint sitting of Parliament, which signals the commencement of the 2023 legislative year for the 7th session of the 7th Parliament. Allow me at this juncture to congratulate His Excellency the President, Dr. Hage Geingob and Madam Monica Geingob on their wedding anniversary. Congratulations. In the same vein, I wish you all a joyful, vibrant Valentine's Day. Your Excellency, honorable members, this year's theme, Enhancing Namibia's Parliamentary Democracy Post-COVID-19, is particularly fitting and relevant than before. The COVID-19 pandemic has had a profound impact on our nation, and it is our duty as representatives of our people to help put systems in place and ensure enhanced parliamentary oversight. As we embark on this new legislative year, it is important that we reflect on the progress we have made as a nation. We as parliamentarians must be at the forefront to provide profound legislation, oversight, and accountability for the recovery of the national economy and the general improvement of the welfare of our people. I encourage members to approach the upcoming year with a spirit of cooperation and collaboration, recognizing that our strength lies in our unity and our ability to work together for the betterment of our country and its people. Before I go into the business of the day, I'm delighted to have a sizable number of distinguished invited guests. Your attendance is much appreciated. Let me also acknowledge the presence of my dear children who have accompanied me for this occasion. Usually, my late wife, Jane, would have been with me on an occasion like this one. Your Excellency, honorable members, Rule 15D of the Standing Rules and Orders of the National Assembly calls for the head of state to officially open the Parliament at its first session every year. Rule 15 E reads, at this session, the President shall make an opening speech to a joint assembly of both chambers, and no other business will be considered. The President's address, therefore, at this joint assembly sets the tone for the legislative year. It is therefore essential that the House grants the President the necessary respect and courtesy and maintains the parliamentary decorum at all times during such an address. Without further ado, I now kindly request you all to join me to give the floor to His Excellency Dr. Hage G. Geingob, the President of the Republic of Namibia, to deliver his opening statement. Signaling the start of 2023 legislative year. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you. Do I tell them to sit? Thank you very much. You might be seated. Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Professor Peter Kashavivi, Chairperson of the National Council, Honorable Lucas Simimbo Muha, Prime Minister of the Republic of Namibia, and Leader of Government Business in the House, Right Honorable Sarah Kuengola Amadila, Leader of the Official Opposition, Honorable Mark Henry Benani, who is imitating me. We were married on the Valentine's Day. Congratulations. Honorable members of Parliament, Vice President of the Republic of Namibia, Comrade Nangolo Bumba, Your Lordship, Peter Shivute, Chief Justice, Bumba is not here, members of the Judiciary, ladies and gentlemen. On February 7th, I opened the first cabinet meeting of the year, commencing the work of the executive. And the following day, February the 8th, I opened the legal year, commencing the work of the judiciary. Today, I'm here to officially open the 7th session of the 7th Parliament to commence the legislative year 2023. And I thank you, Honorable Speaker, for having invited me to carry out this important task. In several weeks from now, I will return to Parliament to deliver the State of the Nation address, where I will expound on a multitude of issues relevant to our national development agenda. However, today my task is merely to open the Parliament so that you may commence with your crucial work of legislative calendar. In many democracies around the world, Parliament is viewed as an embodiment of democratic politics. In Namibia, our Parliament symbolizes our representative democracy and the multiplicity of our political organizations, interests, and ideas. As members of Parliament, you are elected by the people, and as such play an integral role in ensuring that the needs and wishes of the people of Namibia are catered for. Therefore, the legislative mandate of Parliament must be fulfilled to its fullest degree if we are to become a prosperous nation. There is a pertinent need for you to enact laws that are effective for society, enabling the growth of industry, as well as promoting investment and economic trade. Furthermore, Our laws should instill the confidence in our people, investors and visitors, that Namibia is a country where rights and human dignity of all is respected and protected. To this extent, I'm pleased to note that the following bills are likely to be tabled during the course of the year. These are 1. High Court Amendment Bill, 2. Magistrate Court Amendment Bill, 3. Divorce Bill, 4. Child Justice Bill, 5. Ombudsman Bill, 6. Marriage Bill, 7. Uniform Matrimonial Property Regime Bill, 8. Civil Registration and Identification Bill, 9. Roads Bill, 10. Vehicle Mass Bill, 11. Land Bill, and 12. Research, Science, Technology, and Innovation Bill. Let me now expound on a few of these bills. High Court Amendment Bill. This bill is intended to impose judicial oversight on the sale in execution of immovable property of debtors by creditors to ensure that the rights of both parties are equitably protected throughout the process. The bill further provides the Judge President with powers to make procedural rules for the cessation of rights to institute proceedings, adjudicate commercial disputes, and administrative matters relating to the appointment and related matters. Magistrate Court Amendment Bill. Similarly, the High Court Amendment Bill, the Magistrate Court Amendment Bill is intended to impose judicial oversight on the sale and execution of immovable property of debtors by creditors to ensure that the rights of both parties are adequately protected throughout the process. The objective is to protect the rights of debtors and the sale of the right to human dignity and right to housing. Honorable Speaker, the two bills I have just highlighted speak to a troubling situation we have been witnessing in the country regarding the repossession of houses. The process of home foreclosures can be a humiliating and traumatic experience, especially for the most vulnerable members of our society. I am therefore pleased to note that we are moving towards ensuring that the dignity of our citizens is protected and that there will be judicial oversight on the sale and execution of movable property. Let me now touch on the Civil Registration and Identification Bill. This bill provides for the registration of birth, stillbirth, adoption, death, marriages, and divorces in a civil register. This bill further facilitates the development of an efficient system for the compilation and maintenance of civil register for Namibia. When I officiated at the inauguration of the new building of the Ministry of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security in November last year, I highlighted the importance of ensuring that the data of Namibian citizens is not only kept safely, but also digitized to ensure that the country remains on par with the modern world. This bill is a first step in the right direction of modernizing our civil records. In this regard, we must ensure that Namibia is able to adapt, compete, and prosper in the era of fourth industrial revolution. I therefore welcome the tabling of the Research, Science, Technology and Innovation Bill, which will provide for the promotion, coordination, and development of research, science, technology, and innovation in Namibia. Honorable Speaker, I take note that some of the bills listed for tabling during this year, such as the High Court Amendment Bill, Magistrate Court Amendment Bill, Divorce Bill, Child Justice Bill, Ombudsman's Bill, and Marriage Bill are carried over from the previous session of Parliament. I don't know why. I wish to encourage you to redouble your efforts to ensure that there is a regular quorum in the Parliament so that you are able to speed up the legislative process. We have promised to deliver unity, liberty, and justice to the people of Namibia. Our laws play a crucial factor in ensuring that we are able to protect the rights of our citizens, ensuring inclusivity in all aspects of our modern society, as well as promoting shared prosperity for all Namibians. Through the drafting of relevant and adequate legislation, you, as parliamentarians, are the main drivers of change in terms of our national development agenda. You are catalysts for societal transformation. You have the power to push through the necessary reforms as identified in our respective development plans. Honorable Speaker, the path to prosperity consists of hard work. It is a struggle. It comes with successes and setbacks. It requires persistence, but it is a path we must walk hand in hand. A journey must travel in unison. A mission we must carry out shoulder to shoulder. The people have entrusted us with this responsibility, and I call on all of us to work together to uphold the promise to deliver a better life for all Namibians. This has been an opening. With these few words, it is now my honor to declare the 7th session of the 7th Parliament officially open. May God bless you all, and may God bless the Republic of Namibia. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, thank you for your words of wisdom and guidance to Parliament and through the legislature to the nation at large. I now invite my colleague, the Honorable Lucas Muha, Chairperson of the National Council, to deliver a vote of thanks on behalf of Parliament.
Prof. Peter Kachavivi, Speaker of the National Assembly, Your Excellency, Dr. Hage Gottfried Gengop, the President of the Republic of Namibia, and Madam Monica Gengos, First Lady of the Republic of Namibia, Your Excellency, Dr. Nangolo Mbumba, Vice President of the Republic of Namibia, Right Honorable Sarah Kaungelwa Madila, Prime Minister of the Republic of Namibia, of course, Honorable Netumbo, Nandi Ndaitwa, Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Your Lordship Peter Shivute, the Chief Justice, Honorable McHenry Venani, Leader of the Official Opposition, Honorable Members of Parliament and your spouses, distinguished service chiefs, members of the media, a very good afternoon to you all. I am glad to stand here to move a vote of thanks on behalf of Parliament of Namibia. I give my heartfelt appreciation to His Excellency, Dr. Hage Gottfried Geingob, President of the Republic of this country, of leading the way through a very powerful and encouraging speech. And of course, Madam Monica Gengos, the First Lady, for electing to spend your busiest time with us here. This year, as termed by yourself, Comrade President, as and I quote, the year of a revival, end of quote, we now have a reason to stalk, pay attention on the present and focus on the future in order to achieve the inclusive shared prosperity. I thank you for your service to this Parliament and, of course, to the Namibian nation. Honorable Speaker, let me equally express my profound gratitude to those who have equally made time to grace this occasion. His Excellency Dr. Nangolo Mbumba, Vice President of the Republic of Namibia, we appreciate your presence and we hope to see you again at Parliament next week. Your Lordship, Chief Justice Peter Shivute, for always making time to honor our invitation. Your attendance makes it possible for us to have 3 organs of state under one roof. Once again, thank you for your presence. Moreover, regional governors and chairpersons of our regional councils present here today, we thank you for witnessing this occasion, and together we can advance matters of regional concern. Furthermore, let me thank all the members of the diplomatic corps present here today for standing with us in thin and thick. I'm also grateful, as I wish to thank all the development partners present here. I equally acknowledge the effort of NBC and all other media institutions in disseminating very important information to publics on the work of Parliament. And, of course, for covering this event live. We thank you for informing the nation. Allow me to take this opportunity to thank the invited guests and the viewers for opting to follow the proceeding in person or through various media platforms. Finally, I would like to acknowledge the excellent arrangement done by the Parliament Secretariats under the guidance of the two secretaries to Parliament. Brothers and sisters, as we leave from here, let us continue praising God's name for the good rain, and I thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I now call on the Right Honourable Prime Minister to adjourn the joint sitting of Parliament until further notice, and the National Assembly sitting until tomorrow, Wednesday, the 15th February 2023, at the usual time, 2:30. Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, I move that the joint sitting of Parliament adjourns until further notice.
Thank you very much. That said and done, I'll call on the Sergeant at Arms to lead us as we export the President out of the chamber. Thank you very much. Have a good day.